Good morning. Welcome aboard, Sweet Airlines. I hope you brought your own drinks and snacks because we don't provide shit like that to our passengers. It's currently 10 degrees Celsius, 7:04 a.m. Oh, 7:04, how did that happen? I thought I was like leaving 10 minutes early. Not that it matters. Just doing the last minute checks, like cleaning my glasses because, I was thinking, oh, visibility is poor. Visibility is fine. My glasses, not so fine. And we're off. No train this morning to the office. We are flying. Very low, though, very low altitude. Look at that sky. Hey, green eyes. Green eyes. I think the Rodni train's derailing. It's. I couldn't get up to speed on everything, but I bounced around and saw all kinds of shit. It's like I offered a caboose. I put a caboose on the back of the crazy train the other day and invited creators with a conscience to jump in it, still remaining empty. And it, one of the few snippets I managed to catch last night, it looks like people are trying to jump in the caboose, but they're missing it entirely. There's backpedaling going on, there's blocking going on, there's screaming going on. And they all of them, not all of them, there's so many of them are like, karma's a bitch. Well, I think this is your karma, people. They wouldn't realise that karma doesn't have to be extreme. But yeah, people are all falling apart. They've all been flogging, as we've talked many times, flogging the tragic story of Kiely without any conscience, without any morals at all. And now things are turning to shit and they're all crying like little babies. Oh, hello, Medicine Man. Now, who was asking about you yesterday? Joey Wilson, I think, asked after you. I said, oh, we saw Medicine Man the other day. I hope you're well, Groover. You too, Green Eyes. And anyone else wandering in, good to see you. What the CCO's, the cam, the fire cam, the first message I got had Adler in it. It was actually, someone sent me some info, but it was a typo on the map. So the last time I was live about this, I was like, I'm in Tasmania and even I can see it's Adler Hill, but it is older. Joey is a darling, and Joey asked after you yesterday morning. Hey, Ruth. Oh, Ruth, I saw you sent me a link. I didn't, a message. Sorry, babes, I haven't looked at it yet. Last night got really busy. It was weird. I had a few friends. I've got a few friends that are, I'm in my 50s. A lot of my friends are losing parents, but they seem to happen in batches. So I was making a few commiseration calls, and then a really good friend of mine had to have her cat put down yesterday, and I know she needs a bit of space for a few days, but I was pretty gutted for her. But yeah, so sorry, Ruth. I was using my phone for phone calls, and then I went to bed. Because I had a really emotional day at work yesterday too. Like really heavy cases. Hi, Miss Kay. So, Miss Kay, it looks like a lot of these crazy YouTubers on the Rodni crazy train, it's crumbling. They're all turning on each other, or they're turning on their subscribers and their members. They're blocking each other and like a house of cards. or they're lashing out at their subscribers. I'm sure there's a shitload more going on than I've found in the brief moments I was bouncing around. It is hard when people lose parents. I unfortunately know that too well. I learned it at a younger age. It's nice to be there for my friends when their parents die, but I've got to be careful I don't. Well, I guess sort of clients that are really difficult positions and very financially stressed and some psych injury. Oh, there's a gamer chair. You don't see them down here very. Which train wreck did you watch, Green? But yeah, one creator who led her subscribers down a garden path with all of her speculating and analysing and theorising dropped a bombshell yesterday that she thinks one of the videos isn't doctored and it's proof that it was an accident, and her subscribers, and so she did an about turn and left the garden and left all of her subscribers down in the garden going, hey, aren't you going to lead us back out of here? So they started commenting, and then she essentially attacked them. But I didn't get to read chats or follow that closely, but I bounced around and saw a few things. The worst thing about time zones is I miss all the Sunday shit shows of the US channels. They always lose their shit on Sundays. Shit goes down on Sundays. But it's another measure of what these people are like. And I hope that oh yeah, I caught up on that one, Green Eyes. I mean, some of their subscribers now are seeing the light, hopefully. But they still, rather than be, I don't know, just reasonable and decent and admit they got something wrong, they turn on their own members and subscribers who've been, like, feeding them for months. Like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Apologies and humility go a long way. But instead, to sort of make out that there's something wrong with your subscribers who are expressing anger and disappointment that you've bullshitted to them for months on end, and now you've done an absolute backflip because there's irrefutable footage, and they're a bit upset. Like, you might want to just apologise. Oh, I got it wrong. Some of them are dumb. I mean, I don't like saying people are dumb, but I've seen some really dumb comments in the chat. There are still so many people who are basing their entire theory on Kiely being murdered or there being foul play on the fact that she's in the hatch. She was in the hatch when they found the car. And you see comments like, it's impossible to drive a car from the hatchback. How many channels have shown videos of what happens when cars end up in bodies of water and talked about it and had experts up on their panel explaining why cars end up upside down, why people more often than not, end up in the hatch? And these dickheads are just ignoring expert evidence or information. They know better. Oh, Miss Kay, there's shit ahoy. I was watching Morbid Reality because I've been a bit of an OG with him, and as polarising as YouTube would like people to think he is, I've actually, with anyone I experience on YouTube, listened to both sides of the story, and I think he's hilarious and intelligent, and he's got great music taste, and I like his voice. Like, I find him interesting and fun to listen to. Um, I'd rather support his channel and give him views than go direct to some of these creators. But I found his summary was buffering a little bit, which was a bit annoying, and I thought it might have been my phone. So I was listening to him driving home last night. But when I put him on my laptop when I got home and I was cooking dinner, it was still doing it. So I didn't get to hear him in all his glory, but I got the gist of what he was talking about. He and I think so similarly on this. Like even words and phrases that I use, he uses as well. I mean, it's not scientific what we're doing. We're just calling out bullshit. But and then I went into another channel, and because they were live talking about Kiely, and I was like, oh, here we go, and was there and witnessed Grey Hughes getting blocked live. Because that's a really grown-up thing to do. You put his name in your title and he comes in to talk and you block him? Yeah, lame. Sorry. And then I found some other channels that are that I didn't even know were covering it, who seem to be, I don't know if they're backpedaling, but I sensed there was a bit of backpedaling going on, and I need to research them a bit more. But they're all just bullshitters. There's no accountability. There's no, oh, guys, I know that I've been probing into the lives of underage kids for weeks now. Well, months, really. We're in the second month of this. Well, really in the third, because it was at the start of August. After you've been putting out faces and video footage and names of people that have got absolutely nothing to do with it, and scrutinising every word that came out of these kids' mouths and criticising a grieving mother because of the words she chose to use. I saw a comment somewhere today that said, this morning, that said, I lost interest in I lost interest in defending Kiely when her mother said that everyone on social media needs to stop doing what they're doing. Whatever. I can't actually remember what Lindsay said, word perfect. But this woman was basically saying, because she generalised and said everyone on social media, that's where she lost me, because not all of us are bad. I'm like, oh my God, this woman just lost her kid. She probably doesn't even remember what she said that day. Like, the I lost my baby who I love words are the only words that really mattered that day to her. Like, fuck me dead. They clearly haven't lost someone, and they clearly don't know about that whirlwind of grief that you get caught up in the start, where you've got people who loved your child or your mother or whoever it is that you've lost, and they're all like messaging you and visiting and talking to you and bringing food and plans and all sorts of stuff. And you know at the time you're supported and people are sad for you and you're surrounded by love, but you remember very little of it a week later. Because you're in this funk, you're in shock, and then you're going through all the stages of grieving, and they're not great. And yeah, you know that there are people that care about you, but you don't, like, there's little random moments that stick in your memory forever, ever, but a lot of it's also just a big fat blur. Hey, Scott. Hey, anyone else who's cruised in and I haven't been able to say hi? Those of you who go for drives with me know that I kind of do monologues while I'm driving, which often... Look at the causeway. It's still as glass this morning, guys. No, it's all reflecting on the water. It's beautiful. No one could ever have a bad day at work when this is, well, they do. That's what surprises me. But how can people have bad days at work when they drive into work looking at this scenery? Like we're driving over water, babies. Oh, wonderful lady. Well, thank you, Scott. I'm not really at the moment. Well, I am. I mean, I'm just having a wee chuckle because there's a lot of backpedaling and crumbling and anger, and I don't think lashing out at subscribers and members is a good move. Uh, bit of humility, a gentle apology. Oh, we might have got this wrong, guys. Let's shift how we look at this. But because all of these members and subscribers have been listening to bullshit for literal days on end, they've bought into all of these theories, and now the theories might have been wrong. They're not able to process critical thinking and go, okay, all right, maybe this does prove it was an accident. Let's move on. They want it to be foul play. They want it to be murder. They want it to be a big cover up. And if I see one more person saying the Truckee Way is really creepy, I Googled the Truckee Way, and it's kind of like a guideline for how Truckee functions as a community. And it's not an uncommon thing. In some places are a little bit boho, a little bit hippie. But people have read it on their channels and they're like, oh, this sounds like Scientology. This sounds like Laura said it sounded like Scientology. Well, we don't fucking know what sounds like Scientology because they're so secretive. But if you actually read each sentence and processed it, it just sounds like guidelines for a healthy community where everyone can participate and be heard, to me. But apparently it's some kind of cult charter. Sinister. And because the towns where everyone else lives aren't that community minded and don't have their own little charter or constitution, whatever you want to call it, there's something bad about it. That's been one of the biggest problems with the Kiely Rodni discussion channels is so many people saying if that was my child, I wouldn't have let her go to the party. Well, it wasn't your child, and you don't live in that community where those kids go and party in that area frequently. What you would have done it means jack shit, you judgmental fuckface. If you can't put yourself in the shoes of the people that are actually living the tragedy as it unravels and factor in the community they live in, the sort of lifestyles that they have, the way the area they live and work operates, what is normal to them. They're not all friggin' hanging on their mobile phones. Did anyone see, that's another thing I caught a glimpse of last night too. I really wish I'd seen the whole thing, but I'm going to have to rewatch it because I'm going to a concert tonight, Groovers. I'm off to see Passenger. Woohoo! With my sissy. Woohoo! But Todd, whatever his name is from, well, I think he first sort of came to prominence on the Gruen transfer, but he's done a 2-part series about how basically mobile phones and technology is like the world's biggest, not greatest, but biggest psychology experiment, and Australians with the way people are using phones, will spend 17 years of their life on their phone. We are an hour in front. We're even more in the future than you are, Green Eyes. Green eyes are very rare. Sunny's got green eyes. Green eyes. Oh, whoa, oh, oh. I can read chat a little bit because we're crawling. They're doing a fair bit of road work, sealing and stuff up here because it's school holidays. So there's less traffic. But I got stuck on this road coming home last night for over an hour. But I no complain. I was listening to Morbid. I was listening to him narrating a meltdown, and it was wonderful. You have mood ring blue eyes? Me too. My blue eyes change colour. They can be like bright blue, they can be baby blue, they can be smoky grey blue. Depends on what I've been doing. And after sex, my eyes are as blue as the sky right now. Yeah, it's not a bad day. It's going to be about 17, I think. But after work, my sissy's coming in and we're going to go and get a bite to eat at the Hanging Garden, which is a really great venue here. And then we're cruising into the Odeon to see Mike Passenger. No, his name isn't Mike Passenger. Mike, who was the lead singer of the band Passenger, but now is a solo performer and still under the name Passenger. English dude. Fabulous. We all love Passenger. And he loves Tassie too, which is great. You love green eyes, long lashes, called Julian. Huh. Is there someone in particular you're salivating over, Ruth? Yeah, it is, Miss K, 100%. Kids take risks and sometimes, unfortunately, they make really bad mistakes, big errors of judgment. It's horrible what happened. But if anything, those videos show that, you know, possibly when you see the headlights sort of fanning quickly to the right across the landscape on the other side of the reservoir, you know, she was clearly realising something was terribly wrong, but it was too late. I mean, this island has had a horrific road toll this year, and a lot of those fatalities have been split decisions that ended up being the wrong ones, you know. I tried most things as a teen too, Green Eyes. Even in my 20s, I was a bit wild. Um, and there were many times that I think something or someone was looking out for me because I really could have ended up a lot worse off than I did. Like a friend and I were in the back of a ute, and a couple of our mates were in the front in the cabin, and we were driving around. It was on a sort of rural property on dirt roads, but there were little clusters of houses and stuff, so there were telegraph poles as well. And in Tassie, I mean, that one we just went past, a big metal one, but a lot of ours are wood. They're like tree trunks, basically. And he lost control, and we were like fishtailing down this dirt road towards a telegraph pole, and he slammed the brakes on, and we kept fishtailing, and eventually the ute stopped. But when it stopped, I was sitting in the back of the ute in the trailer, or the tray, and I could just put my hand, like literally half a foot, and put my hand on the telegraph pole. if we'd connected with that, there's no way I would have survived it. And that was the day I decided I had to be a bit more discerning about whose cars I got into and what sort of drivers they were. And after that happened, I was so pissed off because, yeah, I mean, Beck and I were in the back and it could have been a fatal car accident. And I refused to get back in and walk and be driven back to where we were staying. I walked, and so did Beck, and it took us hours, like 2 hours. But there was no way I was going to get back in that ute. I didn't trust that guy ever again. Ever again. You know, and I got made fun of and, oh, you're paranoid and, you know, cars lose control and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you were speeding on a dirt road and you didn't have the driving skills to get your car back in control. Because we were fishtailing down this road and it was scary as. And I got yelled at for being, you know, paranoid. It's like, yeah, no, I'm being reasonable. I don't like the way you drive. You could have killed us. And he's like, well, I didn't. And I'm like, yeah, and I don't want to take that risk again and drive with you just in case you do get it right the next time. Fuck me dead. And that's what some of these Kiely creators are doing. They've led people down a garden path and now they've taken the about turn and they're heading back out. And all the subscribers are kind of like, well, hang on a sec. We've been listening to you for 2.5 months, for hours on end, listening to all of your debunking to prove it was foul play. And we've all bought into the foul play thing. So much so we now want it to be foul play. How fucked is that? We do have speed limits. Oh, I'm driving past one now. See that? 110? We're in kilometres per hour, by the way, not miles. And I'm doing about 105. So, yeah, I'm kind of relieved to see it's falling apart, but I hope that it inspires a few of these people to go, it's time to move on. Because if I hear one more person go, we're just speculating, it's human to speculate, it's like, yeah, and a bit of speculation at the start's great, but no new facts have come out, no new evidence has come out. Like, the more you speculate without any more information, the more ridiculous it gets. And creators start making a shitload of money speculating over and over and over again. And you've all bought into their speculations now and you want that outcome. Like, it's been known for a long time that autopsy results are due in the first week of November, whether or not they even are released. And do you know what? I fucking hope they're not. I hope there's just a statement saying it was an accident, the end. Good. Watch all these creators going, oh, they didn't release the autopsy results. It's not fair. Yeah, it is. You didn't know her, and you don't need to know her autopsy result because you're going to twist that too. Look at that, what they did with Shanann Watts, because there was an alcohol content in her body that was explained very quickly by coroners that is part of decomposition. Then shitloads of channels kept going live about how drunk she was. And then she got judged for being pregnant and drunk. But the actual scientists who can read autopsies and know what those things mean and said it is part of decomposition. It's not an alcohol content from drinking. And then there was something, in one of the kids that was also accredited to the fact that they'd been in oil. But they went down this road of the kids were drugged. It just, oh my God. I'd be disgusted. It's disgusting enough that they've been using this girl's name, a daughter and granddaughter and cousin and sibling and friend. But imagine how you'd feel if your child's autopsy results were available to these assholes for them to then critique without any scientific knowledge or skills or experience in reading autopsies. I mean, fuck, I was a criminal lawyer. We had access to autopsies all the time. I learned how to read some things because coroners explained to us, the experts that we called to give evidence regarding the autopsy, forensic scientists, the person who performed the autopsy. Like, you learn stuff from them as you go along. But I would never, to this day, if somebody gave me an autopsy, make out that I was an autopsy result, make out that I was an expert on it and could explain all of it to people. And I probably know a bit more about how to read them than other people do, but I wouldn't even dare. Like, any document like that, you get your expert evidence and witnesses in, and they're the ones who explain to the jury or the judge what the autopsy means. Not us, but I certainly know how to read portions of them and understand what those portions mean because I listened to experts. But, yeah, I would never make out that I knew what it all meant. And oh my God, the number of people with the videos, the camera footage, that bullhorn Betty, I know it's fake because the headlights are facing the camera. No, they're not. That's what radiant light looks like. Every car in that video is a ball of light. From 7.5 miles away, you're not going to see two little fucking headlights poking straight at you. You're going to see a big round ball of light, same as if you're sideways or on a slight angle. That's what headlights do. And we can't see any brake lights. You reckon you could from 7.5 miles away? Brake lights aren't radiant to the extent that headlights are. I know it's fake because the car's facing the camera. It's not. At night when it's dark and there are cars going along roads in the country, they look like balls of light. All the cars in that footage look like, but only Kiely's is the one that's allegedly pointing straight at the camera 7.5 miles or whatever it is away. Yeah, right. Is she having a meltdown though, Green Eyes? That's what I want to know. I'm having a meltdown after seeing her gamer chair. My God, that thing's like, it looks like someone ate that pink and white fairy floss and then threw up all over that chair. Like a candy cane gamer chair. Fuck me dead. And look, unless it's Hello Kitty, if it's got a little Hello Kitty or a badge on it, I'm still going to think it's hideous. But I do love Hello Kitty, so I'll be like, okay, that's not the best Hello Kitty gamer chair you could have got, but it is Hello Kitty. I didn't know that because it was in the autopsy file I read once, had to look it up. That I didn't say the comment. It looks like that's the second part of a comment, Miss Kay. Sorry. Did you say something about bodies being stored at room temp? Because I can see at room temperature, but I can't see anything else. But yeah, I hope they don't. I hope that autopsy is sealed and nobody on YouTube ever sees it. And I hope there's just a simple statement put out. Based on the autopsy and findings of our investigation, it has been deemed to be a tragic accident and nothing more. Now shut up. I did not know you can get Hello Kitty sake, but did you know 2020 I was meant to go to Japan on a mountain and yoga hike, like you do yoga in these, oh shit, what are they called? Like these beautiful little sort of huts, and you hike during the day, and then you get to these, is it a sensei or, oh, what are they called? Anyway, I'll think of it. But before heading out into the mountain range, I was going to be spending a night at the Sanrio Hotel in Tokyo, which is the Hello Kitty Hotel. And they pick you up from the airport in a Hello Kitty car, and they transport you to the Sanrio Hotel, and you get to sleep on a bed that's shaped like Hello Kitty's head. And the toasters in your rooms, when you put toast in them, they burn Hello Kitty's face onto the toast. And there's a million other things, but they're the main reasons I was going to go to sleep in a Hello Kitty bed, get driven into Tokyo in a Hello Kitty car, and eat toast with her face toasted onto it, the bread. Yeah, it was a retreat, but there's a name for the little sort of clusters of huts that you hike to each day. I'm a crack up to it. Hey, Joey. Hey, Medicine Man popped in before, and I said you were asking after Medicine Man. And Medicine Man said, Miss Joey is a lovely lady, I think. Baz is now known as Hubby San on the PH, and so thanks to Cobra Kai. Go Baz. Actually, speaking of Hello Kitty, I've got two Hello Kitty key rings. Yeah, I do. Because I'm 9 3/4. But one of them, a friend of mine found a few years ago, and when she moved house, she found it again and sent it to me. And it's a little Hello Kitty in glasses because I wear glasses, so it's like my little home girl. But it also had a little circle hanging on a little chain that said Hello Kitty, and then it had a second little chain with a pair of glasses hanging on it. And the circle fell off it like the first day I used it. And then this morning, the sunglasses or the little pair of glasses fell off the chain. And I'm like, it's fucking keyring shit. Whereas my Aloha Kitty, yes, I've got Hello Kitty in Hawaiian girl gear. And she is called Aloha Kitty, and I think that's the cutest thing ever. Do not take my park. Do not take my park. She didn't take my park. All right. Oh, there's Smoking Man. Is Shady Man in here? Oh, Shanna. Hello. Have creators started claiming those lights were UFOs and aliens? Not yet. Well, none that I've seen, Shannon, but I hope somebody does. So nice to see you, gorgeous. You just watched a video by Gray. Gray got blocked by Laura last night, Shanna. That's one thing I did see. They're all falling apart. She put his name in her title. He came in to talk to her and she blocked him. They're all losing. They're all falling apart. I mean, I think Laura and Savgirl probably had the biggest meltdowns yesterday. Yeah, beat me up. Beat me up, Shanna. The drama is getting, it's just lovely watching, to be honest. I mean, I listened to James discussing Zavgirl on the drive home, and then I caught a bit of, I think I might have had Laura on while I was, because I saw her live, and I'm like, oh, here we go, let's see what's going on in here. And yeah, she basically named Gray in her title. And just when I went in there, he rocked up and made one comment. She lost her shit and blocked him. That's not cricket. We do need a clip of all the meltdowns. It's delightful. Unless you're one of their subscribers or members, because Zav was kind of having a crack at people in her chat and blaming them for everything. Oh, look, I have two, Shanna, but I go now because I'm following what I call the Kiely Rodni crazy train, which I feel awful putting her name in that heading, but I need to because it's what's going on. But when you click on live in your search buttons, every day for the last 2.5 months, there've been numerous channels live about it, and I'm kind of, well, I feel like I'm invested now because I've been discussing how horrible all of these speculation channels have been. So I started calling them out because I don't give a fuck anymore. But part of calling them out is seeing them unravel, hopefully. That's what you want. That's the goal. And it's happening. And it's like the most wonderful time of the year. And there's a few channels that have been calling it out, which is really lovely. Like there's a shift. You only hear about it from me. Well, that's good. You come to a reliable source, Joey. You got blocked for asking why the mods were deleting comments and didn't follow the theories. Good work, Green Eyes. Please do a clip remix and set Crazy Train as the background music. Well, I'll tell more about Laura blocking. Well, all I saw was that she was live, and it must have been like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something, because, I mean, I got home it was close to like 7 o'clock, I think, because I got stuck in traffic for about an hour. Hey, Bristol. A video with the meltdowns. Well, yeah, but who got time? Who got time for that? I mean, I don't, but if I don't know, I could try. I want to look after your groovers and give you the stuff you want. I'll try. Yeah, I can't stand them. And what about the mods who start deleting and blocking people and the creator doesn't realise, and then they're like, I heard James saying the other day, he's like, for some reason, it might have even been last night, he's like, for some reason I found you on my blocked list. Someone came into his chat and he's like, for some reason I found you on my blocked list, but I've sorted that out. Welcome back. I don't know how that happened. It's like, there's only one way it happened. One of your mods blocked that person because they don't like them. You might want to review your mods list maybe, because, or watch the replay. And although mods can go in and watch a replay and wield their wrenches. Did you know that? They can just drop in a bit later and be like, I didn't really like that person, and block them. And the next thing the creator's being told, so-and-so's blocked. And they're like, well, I didn't block them. And they go in and sure enough, that person's blocked. You don't want a mod like that. God, way back when, didn't Oni go rogue and block a shitload of people, but he did it under another mod's name, like Red Lotus or someone, and they got all the blame for it? Let me just put my powder on and then I'll read chat again. I don't like getting powder on my spectacles or foundation, to be more specific. But yeah, this creator's turning on their subscribers because their subscribers bought into the foul play theory so deeply that they want it to be foul play. And the creator said, oh, this video, I actually think it was an accident now. And understandably, her foul play hungry subscribers who've been flicking her shitloads of coin over the last 2.5 months had a few things to say about that. Some were just downright disappointed, others were angry. And then she goes into sort of defensive mode, but sort of has a crack at her upset subscribers and members and blames them, basically. And then throws in comments like, I was the one who was debunking all the crazy theories about Chris Watts. And it's like, I actually don't think you were, but even if you were, what's that got to do with anything? Because you've been postulating crazy theories about Kiely and all of your minions have bought into it and they're waiting for you to deliver it's foul play evidence, which isn't in existence as far as we know at the moment. What you may or may not have done with the Chris Watts case isn't really relevant. And you're also a creator who I got blocked from because you put the face and photo of an innocent man on your screen who was suing media outlets in Australia for naming him as the abductor of Cleo Smith. And when I politely suggested you take it down because he's suing and his lawsuits aren't limited to Australia, I got blocked. But you irresponsibly had an innocent man's face there. And not only that, because he's an Indigenous Australian, there were shitloads of people in the chat who were saying the most disgusting racist bullshit I have ever seen on YouTube. And you turned a blind eye to that too. And I didn't go nuts about that, even though I was horrified and disgusted. I was more concerned that this innocent man's face stopped being shown on channels. And you make out you're, doing it for the victims and you want justice for people, but it's quite okay to put the photo of an innocent man up on your screen and analyse it for hours and let all of your subscribers make racist, well, not all of them, but a lot of them make hideous racist comments. I just want justice for Kiely. What about justice for all of the innocent people in the Kiely Rodni story that you've been reaming for months? What about the innocent people you've put on your channel and named and shamed, even though they're not guilty of anything? Where's justice for them? I'm just creating awareness. No, you're not. Everyone's aware of the story. You didn't break the story. Nobody's fucking relying on you as the reliable news source of that story. You're not creating awareness. The channels that create awareness at the moment on YouTube are the channels that are calling out this bullshit. We're creating awareness of how many channels are just milking their subscribers with their bloody cockadoo theories, watching the coin roll in, and then when you do a little backtrack and go, oh, actually, maybe it was an accident, and all of your now completely one-eyed followers who are all hanging out for a horrible outcome, which is foul play, and they're a little bit upset with you because they want the foul play ending, you turn on them. Hey, Scout, how are you? If you block all the Karens, no one will know how to look for Humanimal. She's gone bananas. You like the Karen stories, Scout? Well, it's not just Zav. There were a few meltdowns happening on the tubes last night. So, I mean, the one that cracked me up was Laura, like Perplexed. Perplexed Kitty. I don't even know what channel she's on anymore, but she put Grey Hughes' name in her title. He went into her chat because, I mean, as if you wouldn't go into a chat when someone's got your name in their title, and she lost her shit and blocked him. And what appeared to be under her skin was to do with Sammy Smith, I think. And he must have made a comment about who gives a shit if that was a lie or a mistake. And she went on this roundabout, well, we care because we don't know who else was in the car when the car went into the water, and down the speculation road she went. And she was just fucking, of course it matters. If she tells one lie, then she'll tell many lies. And I'm thinking all of these creators are lying constantly and making shit up and twisting facts. I don't understand why so many people tune into this shit and listen to these people and believe every word they say. I saw someone in a comment calling creators on YouTube celebrities. Are you shitting me? They're people at home with a camera and a mic who turn it on and go, "G'day. Here I am. I wonder if anyone will come and watch me." And when you don't have hundreds of people watching you, you either start bitching about other YouTubers and the masses will flood in, or you speculate about everything and analyze everything without any scientific credentials or any background in investigation. And like I've said from the start when I started calling these channels out, if all of these creators are so good at investigating shit, how come none of them have been snapped up by the FBI or any other investigative agency? Like, if their skills are so superior, why aren't they being offered jobs? You know, why aren't they being called in to find out who killed Madeleine McCann? If they're so good at what they do, how come none of them have left YouTube to go and pursue an illustrious career working for an investigative agency? Answer me that. Yeah, a lot of them are turning on AWP. Yep. There's so many awfuls. Oh, yeah. Look, there was a time I found her entertaining, but there was a time I found Molly Golightly entertaining. And that time was 2019 and 2020. And I was part of a troll group that had a lot of fun on Laura's channels. But that was back in the good old days when you had funny trolls. And I've always gone for the creators who I like to heckle. So they've got to have a bit of spunk. Like, I don't really follow Zav because I don't find her to have that engaging, over-the-top personality that I seem to seek. I mean, I watch people on YouTube who I disagree with because I like to heckle them. Or I like to watch meltdowns or train wrecks. Like that's what I'm seeking. I'm going there for entertainment in whatever form I find it. And sometimes that form is watching people who just get everything wrong or a lot of things wrong. Like it's fun just to heckle them with corrections. That's the sort of YouTube nerd I am. Yeah, I saw him go in Zav a couple of weeks ago and told her to stop. Who? Gray? Why do they want something so horrific to be something worse than it is? I know, I'm with you. That's exactly what's been motivating me this whole time to be one of the channels. And I love that there's quite a few channels speaking about it now. Like, I love that we're not now at a point where we've been in the past and we've seen what sort of shitty stuff happens to people who speak up. Like, we're all just like, fuck it, I'm speaking up. Why not? Like, seriously, if someone made the effort to fly all the way to Tasmania to find me and kill me because of something I said on YouTube, I'd be famous. I'd become a true crime case. People would talk about me and my death for centuries to come on YouTube. Bring it on. Speculate all you want with me. Like, I don't care. I've got nothing to I'm sick of watching shit and not calling out. So, yeah. And I love that there's quite a lot of channels that are now doing it too. Well, we may not even get to see it, Miss K. I mean, any facts, obviously, it's worth chatting about, but whatever statement comes out about what happens to her, I hope everyone just goes, okay, it was an accident and moves on. That's what I'm hoping. I like learning about cases, but enough is enough. I have so much empathy for the victim and their family. Oh, we know you do, Scout. We all do here. Like, we're a really lovely group of people that have empathy. And it's possible to like creators on YouTube who sometimes you get a bit pissed off with and you don't like what they're doing. And we all move from channels. We get tired with channels. After a while, you realise some channels are just irresponsible and disrespectful. And other times you're like, okay, I wasn't fond of what they did on this one, but now they're covering something else and I might listen to them again. Like, but this blinded, one-eyed loyalty where people can do no wrong in certain subscribers and members' eyes is really dangerous because there's no one in the real world, in our real lives, who's perfect 100% of the time. So why do we think people on fucking YouTube are? Makes me wonder. Well, that's the area of law that I'm really interested in, Green Eyes, is how social media is impacting civil and criminal cases. And I mean, we've recently just had the trial by judge alone with Chris Dawson because of the podcast. And the amount of downloads of the podcast indicated the chances of him getting a fair trial with a jury were slim. They've walked into a black hole of filth. Beautiful. You have a way with words, Shanna. Well said. If it isn't a rabbit hole, there's no incentive, it seems. Exactly. And meanwhile, there are people out there who are missing still, and there are cold cases that haven't been solved. And these creators who make out they're such great investigators and they've convinced their subscribers they're so good at investigating, how come they haven't found any missing people? How come they haven't solved any cold cases? Why are they talking about a 16-year-old who, by the sounds of it from the start, unfortunately drove and ended up making a really bad mistake that cost her life? Why have they spent 2.5 months, day in, day out, criticising teenage kids and grieving mother and grieving friends? Couldn't they have done something constructive in that 2.5 months? If they're such good investigators? No, facts aren't important at all. In fact, if facts come into play, and I mean, admittedly, Zav's gone, okay, well, that video does look like it was an accident, but because so many people bought into her speculations and wanted it to be foul play, they're fucked off now. And instead of just going, look, this does actually look like it was an accident, so we had a bit of a look at what might have happened, but this kind of shows what did happen. And I apologise if I took it a bit far with my speculating. But let's find a new case to cover. But yeah, people are there. It's interesting seeing how people are absolutely heartbroken that this doesn't look like foul play now. And it's like, what kind of warped mind wants it to be foul play? Yeah, well, I'm glad AWP have just got on with doing what they're doing because I'm sure they didn't. I mean, God, dipping their toes into this corner of YouTube, you know, I'm glad they've just moved on and they're doing what they do. Because at the end of the day, all these channels who said they were creating awareness about this missing girl, Kiely Rodni, AWP find her, and then they've spent weeks ripping AWP to shreds. It's like, well, what was it? Did you want Kylie to be found? Really? Because people found her, and thank God they found her. She could have been one of those missing people cases, you know, that families all end up passing away never knowing where she was or what happened to her. Imagine a lifetime of that shit. But these channels at the start, oh, we're just creating awareness. We want to help find this missing girl. And then the missing girl's found, and then they find everything under the sun to criticise the people who found her. It just doesn't stop. And the really sad part is the hundreds of thousands of people that are on YouTube that tune into this shit day in, day out and don't speak up or don't see from another side how warped this all is. And if you do wander in and speak up like Green Eyes, who's probably been blocked on more YouTube channels in the last month than any other person on YouTube, go Green Eyes. If you do wander in and try and be reasonable with them, you get blocked. But it's almost like this sort of this group think tank then gets hungry for the foul play scenario and everything else, and then they're incredibly upset when they don't get the worst case scenario. It's really warped. And I like to think there's a Jonathan Livingston Seagull in all of these chats who's like, I'm going to be the eagle and fly like an eagle. I'm not going to be a seagull. But we're not seeing it happen very often. It's that the power of a mass of people all thinking together is pretty fascinating, but it's also terrifying. It is so scary. These are our peers, and it makes me so nervous. If they, oh, me too, Scout. Can you imagine? They want AWP to take the fall. Is something for those creators? Oh God, I went down Reddit rabbit holes for about a week and went, no, I'm going to stick to YouTube because at least I can respond to shit on YouTube. And I don't have any qualms coming up and just being me and saying, hey, this is how I feel. I feel that I'm better suited for YouTube for calling out stuff. Let me just have a sip of my water. AWP have coped with real life threats. So some stupid YouTube isn't going to get them too riled. Good point, but look at how many people join in and go, yeah, fuck AWP, you know, and it's like, think long and hard about getting involved in this sort of stuff in this community on YouTube because it's just warped and bizarre and it's not like anything else I've ever seen in my life, which is why I can't walk away from it. Because I'm sort of fascinated, repulsed, occasionally entertained, and most of the time just gobsmacked at what I see. And it's way too compelling for me to walk away. They are sick. Well, possibly. I'm really fed up because it just seems certain creators just use other people's misfortune to make financial awareness. Just think, what do they bring to the table? Yeah, and they bring fuck all. And people pour money onto them. And then when they have a reality check and go, shit, this actually shows it is an accident. The problem is that now you've got all these subscribers who are disappointed because they were waiting for the foul play theory to come true. And I mean, some of the comments were pretty out of line, but people were waking up and realising they'd bought into it and they were jacked off. And that's the risk you take. If you're going to be that sort of sensationalistic, speculating kind of channel, I mean, I'm hoping that some of these creators learn from this and change their ways. But the problem is they've made so much money in doing this that they're now aware of what they need to do to make shitloads of money. And money is the root of all evil. You know, like if they've realised that they can make more in a month speculating about a missing kid than they've ever made in a year in their lives, as if they're going to let go of that. I hear plenty of fuck you, Scotties, not because I've done anything wrong, but because I'm not a conformist. Well, they're the best fuck yous to get. You wear those fuck yous with pride, Scott. Yeah, me too, Shanna. It feels great because I used to, as you know, we've talked a lot about things that we've seen on YouTube that have bugged us, but it kind of didn't. I felt like I was becoming complicit in this stuff continuing. And I'm not going to stop the creators. There's no way. But that's not my reason for calling out. My reason for calling out is if just one person stops and thinks, holy shit, I bought into this shit, what am I doing? Or just listen to the other side of the story. It's worth it. It is honestly worth it. Like, I can't stop the creators, but if I can change one person's mind, it's worth it. I'm not complicit in everyone buying into the bullshit. Someone didn't, and that, for me, is why I do this. Being blocked by Perplex is a sign of high intelligence. Or even mediocre intelligence. You're spot on, Miss K. That's exactly what they're doing. Oh, you deleted the one that I read. Sorry, darling. They don't disappear from StreamYard, obviously, if you delete. But I knew what you were saying. And you're spot on. That's exactly what's been going on. And it's awful. And it's awful that so many people buy into it and don't question it. And I know that I've heard a human behaviouralist on Web Sleuths talking about group think tanks, and how it's nearly impossible to get a group of people to change their minds. They sort of almost become their own identity as a group, and they all start thinking. It's a bit like Lord of the Flies, if you guys have studied that book. But on a bigger scale, because we're talking hundreds of thousands of people. So it's very hard to get like the creators, and I'm never going to tell a creator what they should and shouldn't do on their channel, but if it's bullshit and it's dangerous or it's creepy or it's using the name of a 16-year-old deceased girl, I'm going to speak up. And I'm not going to tell you to stop doing it, but I'm going to say it's pretty shitty that you're doing it, because I think it is. And I'm also going to say, hey, guys, have a look at other sides of the story before you make a decision. Like, don't just blindly follow one person because you like their channel or you like their style or whatever. Like, question everything. Oh my God, that's such an educated comment. But yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about. Toxic confirmation bias. Spot on, Shanna. Yeah, and I don't know, Green Eyes, did you say Todd Sampson? He's got two shows on 10 Play. And I watched a bit of it. It was already like 3/4 of the way through after I'd had dinner, and I sat down with Sunny. Oh my God, Sunny loves watching telly. She loves screens. There were cats on this show and dogs, and she was like, the cats ran across the screen, and she was looking at the edge of the TV, going, "Where'd they go?" It was so cute. But he's done a 2-part show on how Australians, with the data that they've got for phone usage, are going to spend 17 years of their lives on their phones. But he talks about, social media and how people get addicted, and it's scary shit. And he said it's like the biggest psychological experiment of human behavior. And yes, 17 years. Cognitive dissonance, yep. Yeah, they have stopped being independent thinkers. It's really scary. It's worth it, Green Eyes. It's part 2's tonight, but I'm going to be at Passenger, so I won't. I'm going to be dancing up a storm with my sissy at Passenger, so I won't see it. But I'm going to watch the full first episode and then the second one because I really like Todd, but I also, it's fascinating and terrifying. Absolutely terrible. 17 years of your life on your phone? What the fuck? Instead of 17 years of human interaction. And I think that's why I like YouTube over most social media platforms, because it's live social interaction. It's happening live right before our very eyes. That's what appeals to me about YouTube. Toxic perplexion. By the way, Laura, it's colloquially, not colloquially, or whatever you pronounce colloquially. Bless. I think the comment about psychological behaviour is 100% correct. Whose comment? What did I miss? Or was it one that I've read? Don't watch Dharma before taking melatonin and falling asleep. Well, I unsubscribed from Netflix, so I'm one of the few people in the world that hasn't watched Dharma. But Dharma's actually a case I know way too much about already. I followed it thoroughly. I've read books about him. I know a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer. But just some of the comments and reviews and things that I've heard along the way, I'm actually glad I'm not able to watch it, because the errors or the sort of the way things have been twisted would bug me. And I think if people are interested in it because they've watched Dharma, they really should watch his interviews and his dad's interview and the witnesses in court and actually get the truth. Because the thing that was fascinating to me about Dharma was that he did interviews, and he's a soulless prick, but he gave us a lot of insight into what makes people like him do what they do. And that doesn't happen very often. And that's what hooked me into Dharma, was reading one of his interviews. This is way long before the internet. Colloquial something. You've unscribed it, yeah. Dharma, Dinner with Friends. The acting was incredible. Well, that's a good thing. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend anyone that's now interested in Jeffrey Dahmer. He's fascinating in that he gave very frank interviews, and you don't usually get insight into that mind. And that's why I'm frustrated that you know, a lot of these terrorist attacks, the terrorists are killed, and I mean, admittedly, they've just done something horrific, and you'd kind of be like, "Fuck it, let's kill them." But you lose the opportunity to actually get into their minds and find things out if they speak. And sometimes, like Dharma, they do. Not always, not often, but the ones that do. And I mean, I've been into family annihilation cases my whole life, which is why the Chris Watts one dragged me into the YouTube world, in fact. But the thing with family annihilators is that they often kill themselves as well. And the fact that he hadn't meant there was possibly an opportunity to see what actually makes someone snap or plot to wipe out their family. Although he's the biggest fucking bullshitter on the planet, and we're not going to get anything truthful out of that jerk. But the fact that he didn't kill himself made it a very interesting story, because most of them do. What's eating Gilbert Grape? Jeffrey Dahmer. Ah, they've been released. Excellent. What did you think, Shanna? I better head into the office shortly. As delightful as this is, I could sit here all day chattering to you groovers. Yeah, what did you think of the Dharma tapes? And I mean, the other thing with Dharma too is a lot of, I don't know what happened in the Netflix show, but, you know, there's a lot of talk about how he was racist, and that's why a lot of his victims were black. But in his interview, he actually says that he chose his victims because of how good looking they were. Exactly, Shanna. And that's why I found him fascinating a long time ago, because it just was so different to most criminals who either justify their behavior with some bullshit theory, or I mean, when we're seeing this on YouTube, you know, that's where Dharma is fascinating, because Dharma was accountable for the hideous things that he did, knowing full well everyone on the planet thought he was a monster, and he was. But he was still accountable, not because of conscience. He was just open and frank, and that's why he got away with it, because there was nothing sort of shifty about him. That, I mean, obviously the people that lived near him, there were shifty things going on that people turned a blind eye to. I mean, the cops releasing that kid back to him was just horrifying. But the fact that he actually was accountable is why he's so fascinating. I mean, a man who murdered 17 human beings in the most horrific way took accountability for it. But we can't take accountability for the bullshit that happens on YouTube, can we? All these YouTube creators now, things are starting to crumble, and they're pointing the finger at every other person they possibly can, rather than just going, I'm a fucking idiot, I fucked up, I got it wrong. But the problem is that they spun these bullshit narratives that got so big and so out of hand, and they suddenly had way more subscribers tuning in. They suddenly had a shitload of money pouring in, and they were driven by that. And the thing snowballed and got so fucking big that none of them have the humility now to just not only say, I've really wasted all of your time, and none of them are going to say that. You cannot justify the amount of hours these people have spent spinning these bloody speculations and theories and getting this chunk of people following, throwing money at them left, right, and centre. It'd take a big human being to go, I've actually bullshitted all of you, and I've known the whole time I've been bullshitting you. But saying, okay, this is proof it's an accident, and everyone that you've conditioned to expect foul play is a bit upset with you, don't lash out at them. They're allowed to be a bit upset, and I'm glad some of them are because they realise they've been conned. Yeah, I know. And that victim's sister is probably one of the videos, because all the victim impact statements are heartbreaking, but that's one I probably have watched more than any other one. I mean, that is just like absolute raw grief and pain. And yeah, the fact that he agreed and said that. And that's why I found him fascinating, because he's not your typical mass murderer. And the fact that he is just so matter of fact about it and just talks about it without any kind of emotional remorse, but totally accountable for it. It's gripping, terrifying, and fascinating because it's rare. There aren't many. I mean, we're looking at YouTube right now, and people who have just speculated and are now realising they might have got it wrong, they can't apologise or be accountable. They're now lashing out and blaming other people around them. Or they're putting a creator's name in their title and going live, and they're pretty fired up about it, and the person comes in to discuss it and they just get blocked. Why isn't there outrage for that? Like, I don't know if people in her chat were saying, let him speak or unblock him. They're probably like, yeah, fuck off, Gray, you wanker. It's a crazy world we live in, and I've got to go to work. You people are amazingly gorgeous and smart and have empathy and intelligence, and I love our community, and it will always be a quality over quantity channel and community here. And if I hear one more mature age woman on YouTube go, they're just jealous of you, they're jealous of me, fucking grow up. If I was jealous of anything right now, I've got the income to get it. I can fix things. I can make shit happen. Jealousy is like when you're little and you have no means or ways of getting the things you're jealous of. If you're jealous of anything in middle age, you haven't learned that you get more joy from people who love you and people that you love than you do from any material possessions. But that is not no, they're just, all the channels that are calling us out, they're just jealous. Fucking shut up. Come back with an argument. Discuss why we're calling it out. You're all jealous. No, I'm not. I don't want 800 people in my chat throwing money at me because I'm bullshitting 800 people. I want 12 people in here who are jealous of no one or nothing and who use impressive words like cognitive dissonance and toxicity, whatever that comment was that Shanna said earlier. That's the stuff. Oh my God, I start work in 3 minutes. I'm jealous of everyone who doesn't have to go to work today. No, I'm not. I'm envious. That's what you are when you're middle-aged. You're envious. Fucking they're just jealous. But they're all jealous I'm going to work. I think they're all jealous I've got a view of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wheelie bins right now. I got to go. I love you, Groovers. I'll see you again all soon. I'm off to a concert tonight. But Batshit, I think, is tomorrow morning, 9:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Me and Finn looking at the week's wacky-doo stories. And have a beautiful day, night. And just remember, independent thinkers are winners. Have a fabulous day, everyone. Well said, Scout. I love you guys. We'll see you all very soon. Much love, everyone. Bye-bye.